The following audio was taken from a presentation I gave on November 21st as part of the Lean Global Connection Conference. It's an annual event that's free that is done over a 24-hour period. You get to hear presentations from people from many different countries around the world. The conference is set up to have different countries present what they're doing to expand the use of lean in their country and then hear best practices and success stories from other countries. Very cool network. I'm part of a spin-off group called Lean and Sustainability Network. 6 or 7 of us that meet regularly to talk about how we can move sustainability forward using lean. And we have been giving presentations at this conference for the last couple of years. So I'll link to some of the past presentations and all the other prior presentations that are available on the YouTube channel. Our presentation this year was called Tackling Green with Lean. The members of the group include Alistair, Bruno, Marcelo, Giandra, John, Kaizen, and we meet regularly to kind of talk through things we can do to help further use of lean. So you're going to hear a small segment of that presentation. The whole thing's about 30 minutes. I'm going to post that to my other podcast, Lean Six Sigma for Good, but that won't be up for another couple weeks. So you're going to hear my segment around using energy treasure hunts. And that was a topic I talked about in the last podcast where I used AI to summarize another presentation I gave on that topic. And what's nice about this is that it combines the use of Gemba walks and Kaizen events to help reduce energy. Another approach we can look at is Gemba walks. And we can apply a green lens to that as well. And I thought this is a cool way to help think about some of the things Marcelo mentioned earlier about waste. And we can use that acronym to explain different environmental impacts like water, air emissions, solid waste, toxins, and energy. So we already have this acronym in our heads. You can just apply it to your organization and think about where is the most opportunity that we can go after from a cost standpoint, from an impact perspective, in these 5 areas. And that can help you focus in one of those areas and get started. So you could do an initial assessment of your organization or your facility and say, where of those 5 are the biggest opportunities for us? And then the next question is, well, what can we do to reduce the impacts in those areas? And so GE actually reached out to Toyota and said, we want to go tackle energy. And they developed this process called the energy treasure hunt. And through the approach of using lean methods and Kaizen and going to the Gemba, they were able to conduct about 200 events with 3,500 employees. And they identified 500 Kaizen improvements or mini projects to run. The potential reduction, if they implemented all of those, would be about 700,000 metric tons of greenhouse gas emissions and about $111 million. And so when I was at Rockwell Collins, or now Collins Aerospace, we took that model and we applied that and did 6 different events like this. We called them Energy Go and See. But through those 6 events, we were able to engage employees in identifying energy reduction improvements and found about $200,000 of opportunity. So there's an article that will link to the GE Toyota collaboration around this. And then the EPA has some examples and data around the lean energy and climate toolkit that talks about this approach as well. So the energy treasure hunts is a way for employees and managers to walk around the Gemba together in their work area and identify how energy is being used and use the Kaizen event format as a way to conduct that activity. And this is often areas that people don't always pay attention to or notice. A lot of times energy and water and these other impacts are happening near the Gemba, but they're not visible. They're inside the walls or above in the ceiling or down underground. And so all we see is pipes or water lines and electrical outlets. But we don't think about the energy and the resources that go into our processes that are doing the value-added work. So through this approach, we can identify low-hanging fruit, which is a lot of the behavior-based activities. And that can help teams save energy in their area. And they're the ones who know that work and what things can be done easily and maybe some of the things that aren't as easy to implement. So what we're doing in these events is teaching and engaging the employees to understand the electric bill, the energy costs, the usage and the patterns over the year and throughout the week and month. Identify goals. Maybe there's a company goal for cost reduction or energy reduction, and help come up with those opportunities. And it's a little different than an energy audit where you would have experts come in and look at equipment and say, this is outdated, or you could replace this. Those are usually capital intensive. Whereas the improvements that are identified here may not cost much money or no cost at all. So here's a simple overview of that approach, and you'll see it looks similar to something you might have already done. The only twist is how we conduct the Gemba walks and what we do in that activity. So first thing, get buy-in from leadership and explain, here's why we're doing this, and here's the business case, and this is the opportunity we have. And then find time to organize, schedule, or prioritize where you're going to focus your efforts. Maybe you pick one section of a building, or you work with a team that's really excited and engaged around this topic. Then we have the actual event, and we don't typically do 5 days. It might just be 2 days, and it's not always all day long. So the key is to observe the process during the Gemba, during value-added work happening, but also on the weekends, at night, during off shifts, because there's a lot of wasted energy and opportunities when work is not happening. And so it might be a Sunday night and a shift change on Monday and a shutdown on the weekend. So we look for those times to go do the Gemba walks. And then you bring the team back, identify all the opportunities, go through some kind of prioritization activity based on impact and effort, identify maybe 3 key actions that can be taken right away, and then continue to maybe implement others if you can get those 3 done, and track that for another 30, 60, 90 days. The framework should look very similar to you, just like a traditional Kaizen event. And some of the things that were identified in these activities, there's a whole list here, but I'll highlight a couple of them. One is listening for air leaks. So if you have a compressed air system and you have leaks in the hoses, that will create continue to drive energy usage to keep pressure on the system. And based on the size of the air leaks, you can quantify how much energy you're wasting. And so when the building is quiet and people are gone, you can hear those air leaks really well. We also notice a lot of times that the temperature settings might not change or adjust whether people are there or not. So one of the projects I worked on that was a very big cost savings, we did a setback program and were able to turn the temperature down in the winter months because nobody was there, and let the temperature get a little hotter in the summer, and that led to significant savings, hundreds of thousands of US dollars a year. Also, just providing employees with power strips that allow them to just press one button and everything shuts off. Their monitor, their fan, their space heater, all those things with one button instead of having them go and click 5 different things. Trying to make it easy for people to do the right thing. And even looking at stuff like reducing the hot water usage by putting in low flow aerators. There's a lot of energy that is used to heat up hot water. And so the less we can consume, the more energy savings there is.